I said,
like and subscribe, or someone might get teabagged.
Come on, do it now!
The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you. And I want to thank both of our witnesses. Congratulations. You have done something that Chairman Jordan was not willing to do. You were invited to come and talk to Congress about information you had, and you showed up, and now you're being asked questions and you're answering them. It doesn't seem so hard because you took an oath to follow the law. And so we're grateful that you're here and doing something that the chairman was unwilling and is unwilling to do. Mr. Uriarte, I want to ask you, though, I read the Jim Jordan Standard to you, which was a pact that he and Elijah Cummings made in 2019. A congressional subpoena is a powerful and coercive tool. It should be used only when attempts to reach an accommodation with the witness have reached an impasse, or when necessary to obtain certain sensitive information, such as financial information, or through a so-called friendly subpoena to protect a witness. So, Mr. Uriarte, thus far, has Chairman Jordan followed his own Jim Jordan standard in his request to you and your department?
Congressman, thank you for the question. I think what you're talking about here is generally the constitutionally mandated accommodation process. And I talked about in my opening, my experience over many years of doing this work is that that is a back and forth between the committee and the department, where we understand from the committee what their needs are. We work through voluntary production of documents, et cetera. And that, yes, when there is impasse from time to time, there will be a subpoena that may be issued by Congress. But what I find is that the most productive conversations we can have are those about voluntary production of documents and information, and especially given where we are in this Congress, it certainly, there was no reason to send a subpoena. We were ready to voluntarily comply with the committee's requests.
So speaking of voluntary compliance, you received your first request for documents on January 20, is that right?
January 17th, I believe, was the first request in this Congress.
And how many days did it take you to respond to that request?
We sent a letter back on the 20th, 3 days later.
So 3 days. And in that letter, did you offer to meet with the chairman's staff to discuss the request?
We did.
Did they take you up on that offer?
They did not.
Have you ever heard the phrase, won't take yes for an answer?
I have, sir.
Does that sound apt here?
Certainly, I can tell you that we are looking forward to continuing to a dialogue with the committee staff and certainly hope that we can do so in the spirit of accommodation that I mentioned earlier. We do have a good relationship with the committee staff, and we appreciate that, but we certainly hope that we can continue to bolster those conversations by additional dialogue about the committee's interests and what the department can do to meet those interests on a voluntary basis.
So after Chairman Jordan wouldn't take yes for an answer, he followed up with a subpoena with 9 requests for 94 field offices asking for documents from 118,000 employees. Is that right?
That is correct.
How much time did it take you to prepare for this hearing, you and your staff?
I took dozens of hours.
What would you have been doing otherwise?
We would have been working on the committee's requests and producing documents to the committee.
If you weren't doing that, though, what other Department of Justice public safety priorities could you have been working on?
Well, certainly the Office of Legislative Affairs works on a number of different issues, including helping Congress with legislation, providing them information about grant-making activities of the department, about what's going on in their districts. But more broadly across the department, when we do receive a request like this, it will impact the law enforcement components and prosecutorial components of the department. In this instance, there was a significant volume of materials that we had to collect from the Executive Office of United States Attorneys, and certainly that does take away from their time to support the United States Attorneys in their mission to protect the United States.
And Mr. Uriarte, at your Senate confirmation vote, how many Republican senators voted against you?
On the floor vote, it was a unanimous vote in my favor.
And Ms. Graham, our dear missed colleague, in your confirmation vote, how many Republican senators voted against you?
That would be helpful. Thank you, Ranking Member Swalwell. My vote on the floor was a unanimous as well.
Great, thank you. So you're looking at 2 bipartisan, unanimously confirmed witnesses who, again, did something that the chairman of this committee was not willing to do, which was follow a subpoena request. And I yield back.